Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Spike and in today's video we're back at Winton Motor Raceway for another race in iRacing. This is a 12-minute sprint race in the trusty MX5 Cup and I've been really enjoying playing iRacing for the last few days. I've got it on the Steam sale, or a month membership on the Steam sale, to give it a go and see what I think, and I've been really enjoying it for the most part, specifically this MX5 around Winton, and I'm going to kind of do a voiceover in post for this one just to give you some more insights as to what happened in this particular race. We're jumping straight into the qualifying now. I put in 2 qualifying laps and this is the second one, the quicker one. I figured it would be a good idea just to leave this lap in so we can get an idea of what this layout looks like. It's a really fun circuit to drive. There's a few high-speed turns towards the start of the circuit, followed by a section where there's lots of kind of, I guess, almost hairpins. We'll see it in a second as we come around this sweeping left-hander. So about here we go into this really tight section of circuit where we've got a very tight right-hander, which is then followed almost immediately by a left-hander that's, I guess these are almost hairpins, but it's fun trying to get the MX5 to kind of turn in and get round here, and then another right-hander before we end up on a few straightaways to finish the circuit lap. And I've been really enjoying driving this circuit in particular. It's a good mixture of fast corners and slow corners. With a bit of practice using the time trial feature in iRacing, I managed to get my lap times down from a 1:37 to a 1:35, and then relatively consistently putting in 1:34s, and my aim for this qualifying session was to get a solid 1:33, and then to me that would have been a big success. My best lap time around here is a 1:33.1, but that was a bit of a one-off when I was time trialing, doing some practice. So we're pushing towards the line here on the final home straight, and it's looking like we're going to get a really good time on the board for this qualifying session. Not too shabby, that. 1:33.1. Is that enough for pole? That could have got us on pole, you know. I'm suddenly a bit nervous. I've never been on pole before in iRacing. Happy with that, just got to deliver now. Make the most of this opportunity. Stick it onto the podium. So, waiting for lights out, and I'm starting to think that there's a real opportunity of grabbing the win here. 1:33s are starting to happen for me more consistently around this circuit. I think if I can get into turn 1 and get myself a rhythm up and running, then I might have a chance here of converting a P1. Go on, Spike. Also trying to avoid any incidents in this one, not only because I want to get a podium and a good result here, but also I'm trying to get my safety racing up so I can progress through the driver licenses here in iRacing. So really the focus is getting around lap 1 intact without any major incidents occurring, and I was feeling fairly confident, a bit of pressure, but just trying to relax and do things as I had done in qualifying and as I had done in my time trial practices round here at Winton. So I'm trying not really to look in the rearview mirror at this point, just focusing on the turns ahead and managing those as best as I can. And really that was probably the best thing I could have done, and there wasn't much I could do to avoid the following. Fuck's sake, mate, why?
You've got wheel damage. We've got damage on the front end. We've got damage
That's it.
on the back end.
Jumping into the replay, we can take a closer look at what happened here. So I'm slowing down for this first tight right-hander, and the car behind, I think number 4, doesn't manage to slow themselves down in time and thus rear ends me. Great work, man, excellent. The thing that annoyed me here was not the initial collision, because that looked like a genuine mistake, but it was the second hit here where he followed through the hairpin and did most of the damage to my car. At this point I felt like rage quitting the race, but I didn't think that would do me much good anyway, and I've been waiting half an hour for this one to start, so I figured I'd get back out on track and just use it as another practice session with some traffic to navigate. So we're coming out of the pit lane. Unfortunately, with the pit timing and the pit exit, we've ended up coming back out into some traffic with some blue flags. So I was doing my best here to let these cars go past. And at this point, I'm not really sure how quick these cars are going. So I'm just thinking, I'm seeing a blue flag on my screen, I should let these guys go as quickly as I can. It actually took me a minute to notice the third car in the rear view that we're just about to let go here. And unfortunately, I kind of noticed them as I was going into a turn, but didn't want to hold them up. So I kind of slowed down on the inside, which was probably not the best move. But operating under blue flags can be difficult, and I was kind of in a red mist at this point anyway from the earlier incident. Jumping forward a couple of turns, we're letting a couple more of these cars go by under blues, and again I'm not really sure how fast these guys are going. This is kind of the end of the tail now, so I'm thinking I've let everyone go past, so if I can keep up now or potentially go past, then I'm not going to hold back. I always set a little challenge for myself to overtake as many of these cars as possible in the remaining 7 minutes of this race. So skipping forward here to the end of lap 2, coming on to lap 3, I'm managing to stay with these two cars that I've just let go, and I'm thinking I could probably poke it up the inside coming into the first turn. It's kind of an S shape, and I think if I can prioritise my exit speed and use some of that curb to help me get around these corners, then I might just be able to poke it up the inside. So I gave it a go, and I managed to pull off a very smart double overtake into the first couple of turns. Not a bad start at all to our run up from the back of the field, managing to get through the first couple of cars here. And we can take a look at this move from the chopper cam. So again, just poking up the inside, giving a little sniff there, and then using the exit speed just to roll around on the inside and take these two positions. I think this car managed to step a bit wide in turn 2, which made it easier to get around here, but I think that was a good job of getting the first couple of cars out of the way. Skipping forward to the end of the lap, and I'm noticing that the lead car in P1 has done a 1:34.4, and I know that I'm quicker than that, so if the guy at the front of the field is someone that is slower than me, then I'm definitely looking at getting some more places back. And again, it doesn't count really in terms of finish position because I'm down a lap already, but it's still satisfying trying to work a way through the field. Next up is the number 12 car, the red car ahead, and they've made a mistake on turn 1, and they're kind of squirming around a bit here in this first sector, so I'm starting to think that there'll be an opportunity to overtake. They've obviously felt some pressure, there's been a mistake or something's happened to them coming into the start of this lap, and I'm thinking that I could probably capitalise going into this tight section of circuit. So I'm thinking about a good place to overtake and decide that this heavy braking zone coming up would be a good idea to kind of poke it down the inside, see if I can get that apex. So I do get the elbows out a bit, but I know that if I can get my wheels on that curb, I'll be kind of hooked around that corner, which will give me a good exit speed and the opportunity to take the position going into this second hairpin, and I managed to get the move done. As we watch that back from the television cameras, it feels like a good opportunity for a shameless channel plug. So if you are enjoying the videos, then do consider subscribing. Any support is greatly appreciated. Now, I do wonder if I kind of shut the door too aggressively here coming into this left-hander, but I do think there was enough space just about having watched this one back. And I'm not going to lie, it was really satisfying having a premeditated or pre-planned move kind of work out in my favour. Skipping ahead to lap 5, we put in a good run after that last overtake and managed to close the gap down to the next car, and we're looking again at forcing an overtake. So I'm kind of planning again how I'm going to navigate this one. I'm thinking if this car goes wide again on the next hairpin, I can kind of replicate the move that I've just pulled off, going up the inside and using that inside curb to kind of hook my car around and getting the advantage on the exit speed. I do think this car put up a bit of a better fight kind of coming out of that one and was still on the inside of me on the left hand side coming into the second hairpin, so I did make more effort to stay wide here, but was luckily in a good position coming into this last hairpin, which is probably the tightest of all of them, using that curb to kind of hook my way around. And looking at this again from the broadcast cameras, we can see that again I'm pressuring on the back end on the bumper and coming in on the inside of that hairpin, still probably behind here, but having enough momentum to send it around the outside on this left-hander. And the joy of doing that is that puts me on the right-hand side of the tarmac for the next hairpin, where I can use that curb to hook myself around. And actually the number 2 car goes sending itself off the circuit anyway. Skipping ahead, we're about to start our final lap. We're seeing the white flag. Last lap, man. I've got to get this overtaken. So as you can tell, I'm thinking I could probably get one more overtake in on this last lap and make it a 5 overtake race. I'm kind of thinking here as well that I can use that same place again to get past this car, but actually I managed to get a good run out of turn 1 and get myself on the inside here coming into turn 2, and again managing to use that curve to kind of hook the front end of the car around the turn, sealing that overtake off nice and easy. That's probably the easiest of the overtakes in the race. Maybe this guy had just given up by this point. It was kind of late on in the race and he wasn't really fighting for positions. Obviously again I'm a lap down still at this point, so nothing really for him to gain by getting in a fight. I was very happy though to take the inside line and to get myself ahead. Unfortunately I didn't have enough race left to get the next guy, and we're seeing the checkered flag here. Finishing in P9, not a bad race, just a shame about the early incident taking us out of contention for the podium and perhaps even the win, but I decided that I wasn't going to let my head drop too much after this one, and after a night's sleep I decided to get back onto iRacing, and despite that being not the best result, I built a lot of confidence in terms of racecraft during that race, and felt as though if I could get myself on the pole again, or at least on the front row, then I'd stand a pretty good chance of getting a win. Skip to the following day and we've got some grid antics. Jump start. He's taken out the front row on his way as well. No clue really what this guy's plan was, but he carried on being a bit of a knobber into turn 1. This guy's nuts. Safe to say I wanted to keep my distance. I qualified in P3 for this one, so there was a realistic chance of getting a podium. I just had to be very careful of this guy currently sitting in P2 because he was being quite erratic. We saw that at the start and then into the opening S turns as well. That being said, I still had a bit of a job to do if I wanted to compete here for the lead, and I had to get round this number 3 car as quickly as I could, so I stuck with him on this first lap, tried to pressure him as much as I could, in the knowledge that I've got a braking zone coming up into this left-hander that I can use to sniff down the inside. So I poked the car on the inside, try and get round on the apex, again using the curb to hook the car around the turn. Got him. P2. Skipping forward to lap 4, I'm chasing down a back marker and the leader is disappearing down the end of the straight here. You can just see him in the distance about to tackle turn 1. But in my rear view I've got the car in P3 looking for a move on the inside coming to turn 1. If I'm honest, I didn't really realise who was there until he kind of came charging through here. Whoa. He's gone for a bit of a lunge down the inside and bitten off more than he can chew. Luckily we've survived. So yes, a very lucky escape. We can look at it from his point of view now. So he's coming down the inside, going for a dive bomb, and I don't think he's ever making that corner, even without the contact. I think he just went too deep. We can see it again here from the broadcast. I think he's always going off into the sand edge. Skipping ahead to lap 8, we're on the final lap. We've got the white flag, and we're still chasing down this back mark. We've not been able to get away through yet, but I noticed the car in P1 has had a mistake, and the gap has been significantly reduced. So I'm there pressuring this car, wanting to get through. Oh, come on. Get out of the way, it's blue flag for you, mate. It's a blue flag. So I'm hanging in there, hoping the car in P1 makes a mistake. The back marker manages to Colin McRae's way off the circuit, and we're there with 2 corners left, but unfortunately just too much to do, and we finish P2. Whew, well done, bro. Excellent drive from this guy here, well done. Nice, my friend, nice. Having come so close, I thought I'd go straight back into another race and try and get one better and take the win. So we're back on pole, managed to get a 132, and by this point I'm being much more consistent with the 133s and 132s. Unfortunately just a bit sheepish going into turn 1 and letting this car go around on the outside. Oh, he's got me on turn 1. So yeah, dropping into second from the off, but he's twitching around a bit, and actually I'm thinking this is the main competitor for me in this race. We both put in a 132 in qualifying, and I think the cars behind were about a second or a second and a half off that. So I'm thinking if I can get this guy out the race, or if I can get in front of him and keep him behind me, then I'm on for a real chance of the win. So I'm sending it down the inside into this long left-hander. During the race I was actually a bit paranoid that I squeezed him too far off the right hand of the circuit, because he ends up going off into the grass, and I can see him do that in the rear view in straight line over the green stuff. But on second viewing using the replay, you could see that he just went too deep into that corner and fell off the outside of the circuit. There was plenty of room there and he just went too wide, got it wrong, misjudged it, and sadly went off the grass. And you can see here in this replay that he absolutely screws the re-entry up. Luckily I'm clear by this point and avoid re-entry drama. We can see it here in chase cam that it is a self-inflicted wound. He's got loads of space there on the inside. I'm not really anywhere near him, and he just goes full lawnmower and sends it across the grass. So we can see kind of the fallout of this re-entry on the next hairpin, because he comes back on the circuit. P3, 4 and 5, we've got to try and predict what he's going to do, and sadly there's a bit of a misjudgment and it ends up in a collision involving 4 cars, including the guy that went across the grass. So at this point I know there's been an incident behind, I just don't know the severity of it and how many cars it's involved. I guess the only bit of information I've got is the fact that I saw Herbert in car number 10 go off the circuit, and he was my main competitor for this one. So I'm thinking here now I've got a real golden opportunity of bagging my first win, and all I've got to do really is lock in for the remaining 10 minutes and get these turns right and just focus on my own race. My main anxiety was really inducing a bit of oversteer coming around these tight hairpins. It's been a bit of an issue for me in practice and actually in qualifying as as well, just inducing some oversteer, using a bit too much brake and getting too much weight in the front end. So I was being super careful not to do that, trying to keep it as clean as possible. And by lap 5 I had over a 10-second advantage on the car behind, so I'd extended the gap significantly, and it was just enough to take the pressure off as the race reached its conclusion. Skipping forward to the end of lap 7 and the start of our final lap, we've got one more challenge to navigate, and that is getting around this back marker.
Left side.
Don't take me out, don't take me out, don't take me out.
Clear.
So yeah, a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment there trying to clear that back marker, but actually you can see he saw me coming and took a bit of a dive to the left to get out of the way, so fair play for that, for the clean driving. And with that out of the way, all I had to do is get around this final lap to bag the win. I suppose I probably had enough of an advantage not to take that risk, but it felt like there was a chance there just to get that out of the way, giving me some clean air to bag this win. And that's exactly what we did. Here we go, the last couple of corners, and I managed to get myself onto the home straight, checkered flag in sight and win in the bag. Let's go! I was super happy with how that went, and we got a bit fortunate with the earlier incident on lap 1, but I still had to get through the rest of that race intact. We fucking won, boy! It was a shame Herbert binned it on lap 1, because that would have been a good contest. With the first win in the bag, I was one clean race away from moving up from rookie to D-class licence, so I went straight back in for another race, managed to get it on pole again, and this time tried to be a bit more aggressive into turn 1, just wanted to hold the lead this time so I didn't have the faff of trying to win it back later on. So into turn 1 I left it in second this time deliberately, took a bit more curb and managed to hold the lead where I failed to hold it in the last race. So a job done already, getting out in the lead in some clean air on lap 1, and then it was just a case of repeating what I'd done before, locking it in, and by this point I was feeling a bit more confident. I knew I was putting in good times, and the weight of seeking that first win had been lifted after that last race, so I was able just to sit back here and really enjoy this one, just working through each lap one at a time, trying to put in some good times and stay consistent. And I didn't really put a foot wrong. I think I had maybe 2 off tracks, but other than that it was a really clean race. And one thing in particular I noticed that I was doing, which was saving me time, was really focusing on corner entry coming into the tight hairpins, just taking a bit of the speed out going into the turns so that I could prioritise the exit and really hit those curbs to roll the car around. And I managed to specifically on the last hairpin save about a second. That's really what got me down from the 33s to the 32s in terms of lap times. And I know that people are doing 131s on this circuit, so I've still got a bit of room to improve, but it felt like I found a significant amount of time over the course of all of these races. Super pleased as well to get that second win on the bounce. A couple of days ago I was really struggling to stay in it with these races and to keep up, and now to be at the top of the field is real progress. Woohoo, there we go, checkered flag. P1. Nice.
You just toyed with these people today.
Smashing. 2 on the bounce. 3 races, 3 podiums as well. Alas, we are now no longer a rookie. We are Class D. That's the first time I've seen this screen. That's cool. And you know, I was quicker than a C license guy here, so smashing it. I bloody enjoyed that. That was good crack. If you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed learning this circuit and getting to grips with this little MX-5, and specifically dipping my toe into iRacing for the first time. I wasn't really sure how it was going to go and whether or not I was going to enjoy it as an experience, but I was genuinely surprised by how much fun I had racing this car around here. I was a bit worried going into it because the price of stuff in iRacing can be expensive, and I couldn't really justify splashing out on some of the additional tracks, so I'm literally just using the base content and trying a month membership to see how I get on and whether it's something that I want to maybe invest in future. And it's safe to say with races like this, you know, a 12-minute race that I can do every half an hour as much as I want gives me a huge amount of chance to battle on track. We can see here a bonus battle trading paint with this black MX-5 on this back straight, and just yeah, had a superb time learning the circuit and with this car, and just yeah, coming out on top of these kind of little scuffles on track is really satisfying. So I'm going to leave this one here for today. If you enjoyed the video, then once again do consider subscribing. Any support's greatly appreciated. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one.